Welcome back everybody. So this is a continuation video from my last Jackson's haul. I'm just going to swatch out all the materials that I got in that haul, so if you want to check that video out, I'll put it in the description. Otherwise, enjoy the swatching. Okay, so I think we'll start with swatching some of the inks that I got. So let's start with the Magic Color range. This range is supposed to be really great for a lot of different applications. It's made with pigment. I'm not sure if all the inks are opaque or transparent. That's why I drew these lines on here so we can test that today. It doesn't really have anything on the bottle saying what it is, but you can use it, I think you can use it like in airbrushes and technical pens and dip pens, and also just paint with it. So it's pretty versatile kind of ink. So let's try this guy. We'll try it neat first, and then maybe we'll do some watered down versions of it. Okay, so this is, again, this is the Earth Brown. Okay, so it has just a regular kind of pipette here with a little ball bottom. Ooh, it's a very dark brown, so I'm going to put a little bit in here. And I'm just going to use not a watercolor brush, just a sort of acrylic paint brush so that I don't ruin my brushes. So it can be quite transparent, but I think when you use it neat from the bottle, it's hard to tell because the color is so dark, but it does, I think it's covering that. Yeah, so you can definitely get it down to a transparent wash straight out of the bottle. I didn't have any water on this brush, so it wasn't watered down, but you get quite a thin application of it unless you're using the dropper. Let's move on to the Magic Color Grecian Olive. Super important to shake your inks or mix your inks before you use them because they do settle and separate. I've noticed that especially with the Daler-Rowney System 3 ones. Oh wow, this looks beautiful. So in mass tone, it's a really dark green. Ooh, that's delightful. So yeah, it's a very mossy green, vibrant here. Let's water it down a little bit and see. Ooh, that's very light. And I'm guessing you can layer this up too because it dries quite fast. Maybe we'll do another layer over here once they dry. Actually, let's see if this is dry. Yeah, so that's almost dry. It's a little bit damp. This mass tone I think is gonna take quite a while because it's applied quite thick. But yeah, that is a gorgeous color. When it's watered down, it's much more of a yellow green, but when it's a little thicker, it has a little bit of sort of that brownish, muddy greenness to it. So that's super pretty. Let's try this one here, the Alien Flash Vibrant Orange. I am dying to see what this looks like watered down. Yes, so still very vibrant. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. I would not call that color Flesh, even though Flesh is super ambiguous as it is, but that is definitely like a tangerine color. Ooh, I really want to try this Antelope Brown. Okay. Ooh, it's a lot greener than I thought. Okay, so this line of the Daler-Rowney, the FW artist line, is a little different to the System 3. The System 3, I think, is a bunch of colors that if you buy other products with Daler Rowney, they are the same pigments that they use. And these are both pigment based and they're highly light fast. But with the FW line, I think there's some opaque, semi-opaque and transparent colors, whereas the System 3 in the acrylic ink are all opaque. So this one here has a little indicator here. This one is, I believe, is semi-transparent. That's what that S is. And the 3 stars is mostly permanent. So I think the 4 stars means totally light fast and permanent, whereas the 3 is just a little less permanent. And I think all the inks in their FW line are either 3 or 4. So that's what that is about. So let's continue to swatch this guy out. So that seems, oh wow, you can see the brown here. Wow, it looked really green when I was putting it on here, but this looks a lot browner. Let's water it down a little bit. Oh, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful color. Yeah, so if I take some of the ink off there, you can see that it is kind of a greenish hue to that brown. If we look at the brown up at the top here, you can see that has a lot more red in it, a lot more earthy color, whereas this definitely leans towards the green yellow. Oh, I love that color so much. That's beautiful. Hello, this is Editing Jana, just jumping in for a second to tell you that I am missing the footage for the tealish green and the gold. I am so sorry, my camera freaked out, but the green was really lovely, but I was not impressed with the gold, and I will go into more detail later. So back to regular programming. Sorry, thanks. So our acrylic ink has pretty much dried. It's been a couple of hours. This stuff here where it's really thick, not sure if you can see that on camera, is just a little tacky still. As you can see, I accidentally bumped this when I thought it was dry, but it smeared everywhere, which really looks quite lovely. But it ruined my nice swatching sheet, but that's okay. It looks beautiful. So having some areas where there's a lot of ink and some less, I mean, that looks really beautiful for, you know, kind of foresty scene or something. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with all these. The only one that I don't enjoy is this gold. It has this weird halo effect with the binder, and I actually shook it up for like a good minute or so. I just kept doing it because I thought maybe it's not mixed, and I did another sample and it still has that halo-y effect. So I think on this acrylic ink, this is the Vallejo one, they use a resin acrylic binder. Maybe that's an issue, or maybe this is a bad bottle. I don't know. I didn't order any of the other colors, just this metallic one. So, I mean, I'm not totally ready to give up on the whole line, but I don't enjoy it right now, especially on paper. And it's still, like on the back, it like really soaked through. So it's this weird binder. But the other ones performed really well. There's, you know, no haloing effect. It's just a flat acrylic ink, and they layered really nicely. All right, now it is time to play with the Brusho. That was a satisfying noise. So I think the trick with this is less is more. So we have some on there. Let's spritz it and see if it's magical. Oh my god. Wow, that is so cool. So this one's the dark brown one, but you see purples and oranges and a little bit of yellow. Let's put a spritz here. And then put some straight into it. That is magic. Look at that. So even though this says dark brown, all these colors separated out. I think if you mushed it together, let's do a strip here. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know there was any there, and I just blew it up. Let's put some more in. Let's go crazy. And I'm going to mix it together and see if we get that brown. So it dissolves pretty well. Even once it's landed on the page, you can kind of, if your paper is resilient enough, you can work it till it all mixes together. That is just super cool. I can't believe what a party is going on here with all these different colors. All right, let's do the next color. Although I'm probably going to get some of those little pieces over here that I didn't even know about. Okay, let's try the burnt sienna. I'm just putting it in here and poking it in. And I think you can store it like this too. Like you can just leave the little push pin in here and it'll keep it closed. But everything I've read about it and seen about it says do not uncap this, because then you're opening a whole can of chaos. I might need to make a bigger hole, or maybe several holes, but I guarantee there's color there, and we shall see. Whoa! So that one's a lot more red. So this is that's the dark brown, and this is the burnt sienna. Whoa. There's even bits over here. Oh my god, this is gonna be so messy. How fun is this? Whoa. Oh god, I pushed it in too far. It's okay. Right. Ooh, this one comes out much better than the other ones. Wonder what I did differently. Are you ready? Oh, that's kind of just one color. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's still gorgeous, but it doesn't seem like there's multiple different pigments in that one. So that would be great for like water or sky. I really wanted to get the black one, but they were sold out, and the black one definitely had the multiple different colors in it. So this is really interesting. Wow. Oh, that is crazy. Ooh, and the white. I want to try the white. Should we try the white? Maybe we'll put it on top of this blue? It's dark enough. Let's see. Nothing. Awesome. Wow, it really does do nothing. That is so disappointing. I'm going to make the hole bigger. I was hoping it would be like a bright white spatter. I feel like, hang on, I'm going to wet it again. I swear I'm putting stuff on here, it's just not showing up. I am going to get some black paper. Okay, so I finally tracked down some black paper to try it on, but I wanted to show you, in the meantime, this dried, and you can see some. So it's not a total fail, and actually it's really kind of subtle and nice. It would be good for sort of like sea spray or something, not like thick opaque gouache or anything. It's super subtle. So that is kind of exciting, and it just started sort of appearing. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to try it on the black paper. I can see some on there, but there's not much coming out of the shaky. You know what, I'm going to leave this to dry because maybe it's kind of like the blue situation. Okay, so this is totally dry now, and you can see all that white on there now. So I did end up punching a couple more holes in the white. For some reason, I think it's kind of clumping inside the bottle. I don't know if it got moisture in there or if it's just an old one or something, but it's coming out really, it's really difficult to get out. But anyway, it is quite beautiful. This would be great for like a starry night. One thing I did notice is that if you go like this, it actually smudges it around. So I don't know if that's just a saturation issue, like if I needed to spray more water to make sure all of these granules got saturated, but it is something to consider. If you do this, you may want to not touch it and then set it with a setting spray or a varnish over the top of your watercolor. I think it may smear if you're using like Dolan's wax or something. It would probably smear because it's just kind of sitting on the surface and it hasn't dissolved with the water. So just something to keep in mind there. Really like these tiny little dots rather than a big mass like these guys really, you know, dissolved into a big mass. And I think that's just because more granules came out and only a couple came out of here. So maybe that's what you want. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we do have some on here which look really cool. And again, I'll put some links in the description of artists that use Brusho. So I'll do some more experiments and see how I can best use it. I'm just going to use my lint picker-upper to make sure there's no extra pigment on my surface. Okay, let's take a look at the masking film. I'm going to try and open it up here. Okay, so when you open it up, it just has like a big roll of this thin film. I'm just going to try cutting it with some scissors. So it's very easy to cut with scissors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. And then I'm going to cut a shape on it and then peel it off. I don't know if that's going to work. We'll try it. Okay, so we've got our little swivel blade. So I'm trying not to press too hard because I don't really want to cut the paper. I'm going to use another X-Acto knife that doesn't move to get under there. Making a shape over here. Yeah, that swivel blade is nice, but you can't use it to pry this up. Oh wow, I hardly pressed at all. Check that out. That is cool. Let's do another shape with our swirly. And then I'm just going under here and grabbing it. What? That is super cool. All right, so let's try some of our Flashe Paint. Whoa, that's luscious. And then let's use some watercolor in this shape here. Ta-da! So I put all my paints over into this new palette and it's wonderful. Anyway, side note, granulating, I guess we could do Potter's Pink. I want to use lots of water there. I want to see how the mask handles it. And let's drop in some Payne's Gray, just because I love it. Where is my Payne's Gray? Here. Okay, and we'll wait for that to dry. All right, we're back. So I'm going to take the film off now. All the paint is dry except for some dots on the film. So I'm just going to soak those up, because I don't want them rolling off onto my work later. So I'm going to carefully grab them. I think it was just those 2 dots. Okay, and I have a better knife now with an actual pointy tip. So I'm just going to grab one of these corners. Whoa, that looks like a clean edge. That did an amazing job. Look at that. So we might have had maybe just a couple of little leaks there and around here, but that may have been the way that I cut it. Maybe it wasn't smoothly cut, but I think it did a pretty amazing job. And I tried not to cut too much in the paper so I don't feel too much texture. So let's look at this paint. This paint is super flat, like almost a little bit rough. It doesn't feel plasticky at all. There's no satin sheen, there's zero sheen. It is like super flat and matte. It's a little bit like if you have that Japanesque paint by Turner, the acrylic gouache. It's a little bit like that. It has a slight roughness to it. Not as much as that, but it's definitely not a satiny, smooth, plasticky paint. But it is full coverage and really nice and flat. Like you can't see any brush marks. That's amazing. Yeah, and so I think this stuff rocks. I think it's going to take a little bit of a learning curve to figure out how to use it. You can definitely just put it on here and cut using an X-Acto knife. This little swivel one was really nice. I mean, it might be that it's just super sharp and like none of mine are sharp, so it worked really fast and really easy. But I think, you know, having that movement, you know, I could get this really sort of fluid line here. That was no problem at all. I mean, there's some hiccups here, but you know, that's user error. But we've got this nice curve here. So yeah, I think that both of these together are pretty fun. I'm going to have a good time figuring out how to use it. Let's look at this Molotow masking fluid pen. I'm really interested to see how this works. I'm hoping you get a lot more control when you're applying masking fluid. It seems like a nice way to keep it clean and easy to use. I'm wondering if the tip is going to dry out at some point, because masking fluid dries up really fast. But you can make all these little marks. You can make tiny little dots there, and I did a big circle. Yeah, so let's wait till this to dry, and then we'll put some paint on it and we'll see how it reacts with the paint. So I'm going to use a couple of different colors of paints here and brands, and use quite a bit of water just to give it a run for its money. And as you can see, it's resisting it really well there. None of it's coming off. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint some more, get this all covered. So all the paint is dry to the touch. Yeah, and you know, I really don't know what tool to use when getting off this masking fluid, or any masking fluid. I am going to try an eraser here. I have tried other things, you know, just your finger, and the kneadable erasers sometimes work. The other masking fluid I have is the Utrecht brand, and if you put it in a big area, it's super easy. Like you can just peel it off. It's really easy. But when I use it in little bits like this, I find it so hard to remove. So this is coming off okay with the eraser. It looks like it's actually taking some of the paint off too, which is not great, and I'm really having to kind of work at it. It came off pretty easily with those two lines there, the flicky lines, because it was quite thick. But this stuff is pretty thin here, and it just will not come off. It is so hard to get off. Actually, I really want to try those. Have you seen those little squares of orange sort of rubbery stuff that they sell for picking up rubber cement? If anybody has used that and it worked, let me know. Or if you know any other methods that are easier to get this masking fluid off, put it in the comments. I would love to be able to do a better job at this. Alright, so let's look at the Zest It pencil blend. Right now I'm just putting down a couple of different pencil markings. So I have a Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencil, a Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2, that is just the Kohl-Nor sort of multicolored, just normal wax pencil, and a oil pencil. And I just decanted some of it into this little thing here, and I'm using a brush, and it did not work the way I thought it was going to work. I have some other blender pens that I was using, and they did a much better job, even though they're not meant for pencil specifically. It did a pretty good job on this Neocolor 2. It spread it, but once you run out of the medium on your brush, it kind of sets it to permanent and you can't move it after that. And it, you know, it's not like using water where you can sort of add more water or move it around. It didn't work very well on this Kohl-Nor pencil, so I'm not sure if that's a wax or an oil pencil, but this oil pencil worked amazingly well. It really dissolved that. But again, once I ran out of the medium and made those marks at the end, I tried to put some more on there to move it around, and it just stays there. So I don't think this is a blender that I'm going to use for my watercolor stuff. Yeah, so let me know below if I'm using this the wrong way. I'm pretty sure that I don't know what I'm doing, and I think it's more for blending maybe two colors together or making those the layers of colored pencil nice and smooth, so I think it's probably not for the watercolor application that I'm thinking. So I think that just about does it for testing all of these wonderful materials that I got in my latest Jackson's haul. I was really impressed by all of it. The Brusho is going to be really fun to work with, all that different texture and trying to incorporate it in my work that I do now. The masking film was really impressive and interesting. I have a lot of potential with that. The Molotow masking fluid in pen form was a really awesome idea. It's just super hard to get off. So again, I got to find a better way to do that. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I am so excited about this little community that we're creating, and feel free to ask any questions about any of these materials in the comments. I'll try my best to answer it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!